Okay. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today, whether it be your third webinar with us or 30th or first. We are super glad you're here. I'm Michelle Morris. I'm with Consolidated Planning Group, and we're going to talk a little bit about who we are and what we do. First of all, I would like to go over the housekeeping items for today. Um, we are in webinar mode, and that means that we cannot see you or hear you. But I do know you're out there. I see the number of participants growing, and I really appreciate you spending the hour with us. So since we can't hear you or see you, go ahead and enjoy your lunch, your snacks, your drinks, whatever you've got going on. We do love comments and questions, though. So if you put the comments and questions in the chat box, that is the easiest way for me to be able to see and keep tabs on getting your questions answered while I'm going through my slides. And the other thing I want to let you know is that we are recording this. We record all of our webinars, and after the webinar today, we will email you the slides, and we will also email a link to the recording of the webinar. We put them all on our YouTube channel. So you'll be able to go out to our YouTube channel and rewatch this in case you missed anything, and you'll have the slides to go through. All the links in the webinar, once you get the slides, they will be clickable. If you find one that doesn't work, please let me know so I can fix it. And other than that, I just really appreciate you being here with me today. Please stay all the way through to the end. We've got an exciting offer for you at the end. And I'm going to have April Martin go over the Workforce Solutions Texoma program that she works with. So thank you so much, April, for hosting us and for sharing us with your families. Where will this QR code take me?
Well, this QR code will take you, we do take the recordings that we do with webinars, the partner webinars, and we house them in our site as well. And then also we have other disability resources on our website. For many people, accessing vocational rehabilitation can be important. And so if you want to go ahead and go on to the next slide, I'll talk a little bit about vocational rehabilitation. It's available throughout the United States, but specifically in Texas. If you'd like to connect and figure out if vocational rehabilitation is right for you or for your loved ones, we have programs for adults and for students. The students programs run from age 14 to 22. I, however, do caution families, if you want your student enrolled in the student program, they need to be enrolled for the second semester of their senior year. So if they enroll after the second semester or during the second semester of senior year, they're often put on adult caseloads. And so the student caseload's a little bit more hand holding, a lot more involvement with the parents. So I'd encourage you to do that. Vocational rehabilitation is just basically to help people get training and education and then find jobs to if they have a disability or any barriers. And oftentimes I'll have people say, well, you know, I just have ADHD or I have a little hearing loss. It's not a big deal. Well, you might qualify for services and we might be able to help you make your job easier if you're already employed, or help you find a job that is better for you if you're not happy in your employment.
And this program, they do a lot of testing, a lot of training, and they have pretty deep pockets, right, April?
Well, I'm not supposed to advertise that, but we can help with a lot of things that you wouldn't come to mind. I've told people we recently bought some stethoscopes for nurses that were Bluetooth enabled, that they had some hearing loss. And so they were able to keep their jobs with those stethoscopes, and their VR counselor was able to get those fully paid for.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. And then in every workforce center where you have your vocational rehabilitation located, there's only 2 VR offices in the state that are not located in a workforce center. We have employment specialists that can help you. We have printers and all kinds of things. So if you're looking for a job or you need childcare, please drop by one of our workforce offices. Go ahead and move on to the next slide. This is just a general overview of services that we offer within most workforce offices, and I won't read that, it's way too much, but I just put that there for reference so that people know. And then we'll go ahead and move to the next one.
There's some fantastic listings on here. Excuse me. So if you want to look at some of their video resources, employer assistance, even childcare assistance, I mean, they've got a lot of great stuff going on. So definitely get in touch with your local office.
And then people, because we do these webinars and you guys have such large, great audiences, people say, well, where's my workforce center? April's not my person. She's not in my area of Grayson, Cook, or Fannin. It's not where I live. If you scan this, it will tell you where you're located for your VR office is at. So, yeah.
Fantastic. I'm in Missouri City, and there is a huge workforce solutions office on Cartwright Road in Missouri City, if you're in this area.
Yeah. And then I keep a Padlet for follow-up resources. So whenever I do speaking at schools or for employers, I put my presentations here, and I also keep VR flyers there so that people can easily access them. And last but not least, I would just encourage you, if you know that you just need help with jobs or resources, even if you don't need vocational rehabilitation, just come into our office and say, I just need help, and keep asking, and they'll probably find a resource for you.
Yeah, they have a lot of helpful resources. So everybody should be talking with their local VR office, their local Texas Workforce Commission or Workforce Solutions office. Thank you so much. So again, I am from Consolidated Planning Group. April and I both work in the community. We don't necessarily work together, but we have many shared clients between VR programs and what we do. And we often refer people to April and her programs because they're so great. Consolidated Planning Group, we are first and foremost a financial planning firm. We do full service financial planning, but we really focus on helping families who have an individual with some sort of developmental or intellectual disability. So if you have an individual in your life who might need, long-term care, maybe they can't be completely independent. Maybe they're not going to be able to really keep a job, and they're going to need a parent's help or a caregiver's help for the rest of their lives. That's what we really help with. How can you put together a protection plan for your family that will cover you in case you can't work anymore? You can't be the breadwinner for your family anymore. We help with lifetime care plans, looking at your loved one and you're thinking, someday I'm not going to be here to take care of them. How are we going to make sure that their lifetime care plan is in place so that somebody will be there for them? We do a lot of transition planning. There's some big changes that come along when your loved one turns 18. And that transition from a minor to an adult is very big. And also the transition from public school or private school all the way up through high school to what happens when they're out in the real world and they're not in school anymore. A lot of planning needs to be in place for those times. We help with ABLE accounts, which is just one place where you can save money for your loved one, where it will not affect their other benefits like SSI and Medicaid, SSDI, all of these things that we're going to touch on today. And we are here to advocate and educate to help families like yours because there's just not enough help out there. The owner of Consolidated Planning Group, Allison Scauberg, you might have seen her on other webinars. She also does a lot of in-person events. You might have met her there. And you can probably meet her this Saturday if you're going out to the NAMI Walks Greater Houston event. We will be there. So hopefully we'll run into some of you there. Anyway, she's got 2 kids with disabilities. And when she was going through all of this, it was just, she saw how difficult and how important it is to plan for the future of your loved ones. And she said, we as a company, I want to focus our company on helping families to make it easier on them so that you don't have to go through the same uncertainties, the same hurdles that she went through when she was working on these things with her children. So in the United States, there are over 263,000 financial planners, and that's according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. 263,000 financial advisors in the United States. Would anybody care to venture a guess how many of those focus on special needs planning? You can put it in the chat box. I know you've probably heard me say this before if you've been to any of the webinars that we've done in the past. But out of those 263,000 financial advisors across the United States, how many do you think focus on special needs planning? One, Kelly, I wish it was just one. That would mean we were the only game in the entire United States. That would be awesome. But no, it's about 200. 200, not 200,000, just 200 financial planning firms in the United States focus on special needs planning. That is less than 0.1% of all the financial planners in the United States who focus specifically on helping families with special needs loved ones. So you are definitely in the right place when you're talking to Consolidated Planning Group. We work really, really hard to be in the community, to be a valuable resource, whether you are our client or not. There's a lot that you need to know. There's a lot of opportunities out there. There are a ton of resources. And when you're ready for financial planning and planning benefits and buying life insurance, of course, we're here for you. But when you just want information, we're here for that too. So today we're going to be talking about that moment when you are transitioning from high school to what comes next. You don't necessarily want your child to graduate from high school onto the sofa. You don't want them necessarily to just be in their room playing video games, watching TV. You want better for them. You want them to get out there and do stuff and be part of society. And they want that too. They want that chance to really build and enjoy life and continue on, to feel, accomplished and like they have a place in the world. So we want you really to have realistic expectations. Understand your child's diagnosis, and that comes with strengths and weaknesses. Maybe because of their diagnosis, they are able to really, really focus. Maybe sometimes that hyper focus is a strength, and maybe sometimes that hyper focus can also be a weakness. But really, what you need to think about is that it's okay. It doesn't matter where your child is. What you're looking at is how to make the most of what they have, what their abilities are, where their focus is, and what they're doing. Maybe a non-traditional path is better for them, and that's going to be just fine. A lot of people like to use the old adage of, if a flower isn't blooming where it's planted. I like to think of it differently. I think of this as like popcorn. Okay, so popcorn is my favorite snack. I cook it on the stovetop, just like my grandpa taught me. And, I take my popcorn kernels and I put them in, they're all in the same pot. They're all in the same oil. They're all being heated at the same temperature on my stovetop. But there's always some popcorn kernels that pop up early, and then a few more pop, and then you have like this wild frenzy of a whole bunch of popcorn kernels, not all popping at once, but very close in time. and then it dwindles down, and then you have some pop kernels that are really late poppers, and then you have some kernels that make it into my bowl that never popped. No matter where your child falls on that popcorn popping curve, it's okay. We don't compare this popcorn kernel to that one and say, oh, you were late to pop, or this one, oh, you're so great because you popped first. No, it doesn't matter. Don't compare yourself to others. Don't compare your children to others. Let go of those expectations. Let go of the Facebook posts. People only show the great stuff on Facebook. They don't show their daily struggles. They don't do selfies where they look like they just rolled out of bed. That's just not how we are as people. And by comparing yourself and your children to others, all you're doing is putting harmful expectations in the way of your reality. Maybe it's fine if your child delays getting their driver's license or decides not to get it at all. Maybe they want to go to a trade school or a community college instead of taking this so-called traditional 4-year college path. There are great programs like we just talked about through VR, through the Texas Workforce Commission. There are registered apprenticeships. Maybe your student can go to college, but it's going to be more like a reduced college course load. Maybe they get extra supports in college to help them out. Maybe they stay living at home instead of living on campus. All of those options are totally fine. So don't worry about what the neighbors' kids are doing or what your nieces or nephews did, or even your the siblings of your loved one. They're all going to be different, and that's wonderful. So when you're thinking about finding the best fit for your student, there are many, many different schools and colleges all across the world. And you have to first find a good fit that way. If a school or a college after high school is what you want to do and what they want to do, look at, of course, location and price. Do you prefer that they're closer by you? Are you okay with them going out of state? What is the pricing of these different schools? Include scholarships. Many people think that an private school, out of state private school is just going to be far too expensive. But I have found that often they have better scholarship opportunities as a private school than a public school like a state-run school would have. And then you have smaller class sizes, and it might be further away, but it might be just as affordable as a state school. Look at what they offer. Look at the programs, the degrees. Look at their offices of disability. Those are not created equal. Some schools have a great, robust program in their office of disability. Some schools have one person who doesn't really know what they're doing. It's important that you get them on the phone and talk with them. What about extracurricular activities? What is your child interested in? What do they love? And extracurricular can be clubs, sports, groups that they may join, volunteer work. There's a lot of possibilities out there. What are they really into? Because finding extracurricular activities that they love is really going to help them also find a career path and work in the future that they're going to love. It gives them an opportunity to test the waters in terms of what they like to do, what they're good at, and what might be a good career path or work setting. When you're thinking about careers and work, many people think, what do I want to do? What do I love to do? So let's say, for example, your child loves animals and they're thinking, oh, I want to be a veterinarian. Well, that is fantastic. But maybe you're looking at the coursework that a full-fledged veterinarian needs to have, and you're looking at how many hours and how many years of college this is going to take, and you think, you know, maybe a vet tech would be better, or maybe working in at a zoo, or a shelter, or some kind of an animal rescue. There are a ton of different things that can be done working with animals. It's not always that you have to be a veterinary doctor. Then you want to also think about that work setting. What kinds of settings does your child do best in? Maybe, your child really thrives in a fast-paced environment. They get bored if there's not enough going on. They want a lot of action. And they're saying, I really think I would like to have a job in customer service where I work from home at my desk all day talking to customers. And you think, does that really fit with their fast-paced lifestyle and how they thrive? Or maybe it's the other way around. They really like things to be calm and quiet and sitting still. And then they want to have a job in an industry where they're going to constantly have to be on the go, and it's going to be loud, and there's going to be, information coming from all directions. But you can see you might have to help your child find a good fit between what they love to do and what that work setting looks like and what kind of environment they would thrive in. So help your child find a good fit for themselves. Be creative, think outside the box, and don't just automatically say, oh no, you can't do that. That's not right for you. Find a way that they can put what they love into what they do. And that's how they're going to be successful, is by helping them find a good fit. Now, when your child goes to college, their IEP, their 504 plans, that kind of stuff that they had in high school and lower grades, it's not just going to automatically go with them to college. There are accommodations that they can have. They can make accommodations on the SAT, the ACT, which you don't need to have if you're going to a community college or a tech school. Just saying, a trade school. You don't need to have your ACT or SAT. But if your child is going to take those tests, please know that you can have accommodations for those, for AP exams, for college courses, even graduate level exams. What you have to do is contact the school or the company that gives the exam, whether it be the College Board. I think Praxis is one of the big testing companies. There's several different companies that do this kind of testing. They might have specific requirements about what accommodations they can allow, but you need to get in touch with them and plan early, find out what they can offer and what kind of proof they need in order to grant these accommodations. They might ask for some updated testing if you haven't had any testing done within like the past 3 to 5 years of what your child's diagnoses are, what accommodations they need. Now, when your child does go away to college or go to some kind of institution beyond high school, they're not going to want to talk to you. It's like the doctor's offices after your child turns 18. The schools don't want to talk to you either. You will have to have paperwork on file with the school that gives you permission to talk to them about your students' grades, attendance, financial aid, class schedules, things like that. That's called the FERPA. That's their special form name. You also might want to get a healthcare power of attorney and a regular general power of attorney for your college student. And this is whether they have a disability or not. My son is away in Chicago. He's 23 years old. He went for college. He ended up dropping out, but staying in Chicago. And we do have a power of attorney on him in case something happens to him, so that the hospitals know that they can talk to us if he becomes incapacitated, if he cannot speak for himself. If something really bad happens, his roommates and his landlord and his financial institutions will know that we can have control over his situation if he doesn't have control. And that's really important when your children start going away, but they're not quite in their own lives yet, that young adult stage. You might also want to go ahead and talk to aging family members about having a healthcare power of attorney and a general power of attorney. When we went through the process to sign powers of attorney for our children, we also had them sign it for us so that if myself or my husband become incapacitated, of course, we would be the first contact, but then the children would have the right to to have control over our lives if we cannot do it. And of course, we have a will to make sure that our wishes are known and we know that our children will follow those. Now, when your child goes to work, there are also accommodations available in the workplace. Um, any reasonable accommodation is required to be made by the workplace as long as it doesn't pose an undue hardship on the business. So you can look at the Department of Labor's website and the Job Accommodation Network. Those links are down there. But think about things like, okay, if the job needs to install a wheelchair ramp or handrails, that is a reasonable ask. You're not asking them to move the world. Now, if maybe the job is located on the fourth floor of a walk-up building, there's no elevator, you can't really ask for them to move their entire business. That would pose an undue hardship. I don't know how expensive or how much it would cost to put in an elevator, but that might be just not feasible for that business. So a reasonable accommodation is required, but undue hardship on that business is not required. So let's talk about what happens after high school. This is a list of options that you can check out. Now, these are not links. Unfortunately, we haven't taken that step to make these all links yet. But you can go online and look at any of these programs. And there are programs like this all throughout the United States. Even though we are located in Texas and we kind of tend to focus on Texas, there are programs like these all over the country. Life Path programs, the Metamorphosis program, Aggie Achieve or PATH programs at A&M. These are programs that are meant for students who might need more supports. Maybe they need a lighter class load. Maybe they need College 101 before they jump into regular college. All of these programs are available in the state of Texas, and we can even help you find some outside of Texas. Now, just like April, we don't work with these companies. We don't work for them. They don't work for us, but these are great programs that we've heard of, and we want you to check out if you would be interested in them. One company that we know of called Bloom Consulting. Now, we had a webinar with them a couple weeks ago. They do a program called Campus Connections, where they support neurodiverse college students with various disabilities as they attend post-secondary institutions. So maybe your child wants to go to A&M and they go out there, but they still need support. Bloom Consulting can provide in-person or virtual supports for your students at any school. They have an assessment that they do, and they put together a plan for your student where they connect your student with a coach, a mentor, if you will, who will provide guidance, navigational support, help them with things like problem solving, and self-advocacy and making good choices, all of that kind of stuff. Now, this program is not free, but sometimes your VR counselor will be able to talk to you about sponsorship for a program like this. If you go through the Workforce Commission and they feel that your student would really benefit from this kind of program at school, they can help you pay for it. So Bloom Consulting is a great company to get in contact with, or go watch the webinar we had with them the other day. Their contact information is all there for you, and you can reach out to them with questions. So when we're talking about special needs planning, there's a lot to take into consideration. Thank you, April. Yes, contact April. She can definitely help you. There's a lot of considerations to take into mind when you're thinking about special needs planning. First of all, there are two different areas of planning that you need to be thinking about. That is the legal and the financial sides of it. So you need legal help to do your will, your special needs trust. If guardianship is something that you're considering for your family, you need an attorney to do that. Of course, an attorney can help you set up a power of attorney, medical power of attorney, all of those kinds of things. When it comes to us, Consolidated Planning Group, we help with the financial side of planning. We talk about making sure your children are signed up for all of the state and federal benefits that they can get. And how can you save money for them in a way that won't impact those benefits? And how much money are they even going to need? And how much money do you need in retirement? There's a lot of moving parts and a lot of nuanced information that you need to know. So it's important that you have both an expert in special needs financial advising and an expert special needs attorney. Now, when you contact Consolidated Planning Group, one of our services is that we will refer you to an attorney who can help. Hopefully, some of those attorneys out there are doing the same and sending clients our way. But you really want to work with experts in the field because there are so many different things that if you get it wrong the first time, you're going to end up spending more money later to fix that than you would have if you would have just worked with an expert in the beginning. So the first step, after you understand the difference between a planner and an attorney, you choose some good experts to build your team and build that support group behind you. Then we want you to gather the documents that you have, things that you already have in place. You know, when you're going someplace new and you put the address into your GPS or your phone, the first thing it wants to know is, okay, well, where are you now? I'm going to navigate from where you are right now to this place you want to go. So we need to know where you are now in terms of planning so that we can help navigate you to where you want to go. So start by gathering up your retirement savings accounts, pension information. What do you have in place at work? Now, a lot of people have life insurance through work, investments like a 401k or a retirement plan through work. Gather all of those. What about the things outside of work? Do you have private life insurance? Do you have investments and other accounts outside of your employer? All of that paperwork is important because we want to review what you have so that we can make sure that we help you fill in anything that you're missing. The next thing we want you to think about is a letter of intent. A letter of intent is a document that you, as the parent of a special needs individual, would write. And it's really meant to help somebody who has to step into your role if you're gone. So, for example, tomorrow you're gone, and I have to come to your house and be in charge of taking care of your family for a few days while we're waiting for paperwork to get settled and Aunt so-and-so to get to your house and really step in. This is not a service we offer. This is just a hypothetical. But the letter of intent is what you would leave for me to look at and to say, okay, this is who my child is. This is what their diagnoses are. This is who their doctor is. This is the planning we have in place already. But not only those things, this is my child's routine. This is what I want them to know spiritually. These are the values I want them to have. This is not an easy thing that you're going to write overnight. I used to be an English teacher before I came to the world of financial planning. And the English teacher side of me wants to let you know that what you should do is start on your laptop, open a new document, letter of intent, or, look online. There are templates you can fill out. There are, we even have a template that we give to people that we work with, but there's plenty online. I would open a document and start with the facts: age, diagnoses, medications, who are the doctors, what you have in place already. But then as you're writing, you're going to start thinking of, oh yeah, I need to let them know that when it's bedtime, you can't just say, okay, go get ready for bed. You have to say, brush your teeth. And then you have to tell them to get their pajamas on. And then you have to tell them to pick out a book for me to read. And then we have to read the book. And then we have to do, whatever your bedtime routine is, you have to write it all out, because somebody doesn't necessarily know what it means to tell your child to go to bed in your family. Maybe you want to let people know your child's favorite or least favorite foods, or what to do if they're having a meltdown, or how to pick them up if they've had just a horrible day, or, all those kinds of things you can put into your letter of intent. And this is not a legal document. It doesn't have to be notarized or filed with a court or anything like that. It's just an informational document. I would do that on my laptop, print it out, and put it in a binder that somebody will be able to find, maybe with a lot of other information about my child. And then as I work, as my family grows and evolves, and maybe I work on this document a little bit more, a few months later, I'm going to print an updated version, put that in the binder, throw away the old one. You want to make sure that this is in a place where people will be able to find it, right? If it's saved on your laptop behind a password, and someone comes into your home to take care of your child and they don't know that password, it's not doing very much good. Think about your vision of the future, what you want for yourself and for your family members and your loved ones, and begin to be able to walk that way, walk that path to get you to where you want to be. So I always like to say that the time to start planning for the future is right now. It does not matter how old your child is or how young your child is. It doesn't matter what you have or have not done in the past. I mean, we need to know so that we know where to go, but we're not going to criticize you or judge you in any way for any planning that you have not done or any missteps that might have happened in the past. We are here to look at where you are and how can we get you to where you need to be. Things we want to answer are, how much money do you need to fund a special needs trust for your child? We look at it as, okay, while you are here on this earth, part of your budget is to take care of your loved one. When you pass away, we want you to have a certain amount of money set aside in a special needs trust for your loved one. And that money will be used from the day you pass away to the day your child passes away to take care of them. We can figure out how much that chunk of money needs to be to last from your predicted, life expectancy age to your child's, to make sure that they're covered once you're gone. We want to help you maximize your Social Security. When you're in your late 60s and you turn on your Social Security benefit, there are benefits that your child will be able to receive through the Social Security Administration. It's different than SSI. It's different from Medicaid. There are other benefits that they're going to be able to get. And those benefits will start when you turn on your Social Security and will last for the rest of your child's life. So we need to make sure we maximize those. And we need to be thinking about who's going to take care of your child when you no longer can. Is this going to be a relative, a family member, a group home, a residential community, maybe just a nursing attendant? Who knows what that future looks like? We want to help you plan for that. And by making these plans early, you can make small incremental changes that don't seem like a huge impact to you right now, but will have a large impact over time. So, how are you going to pay for all of these things? That's scary because we can come up with a number for you, but a lot of people kind of panic when they see how high that number is, how much your child's care is going to cost. Some ways to make sure we're going to cover that is, first of all, don't mess up those federally and state funded programs that they can get. You can only have $2,000 in the bank and you can only make $1,550 a month to be able to qualify for SSI. So that's not very much at all. So if your child has more than $2,000 in the bank, they're not going to qualify, which is a very crazy rule. Contact your congressman. But there are ways around that. You can have money for your child in a special needs trust, and you can have money for your child in an ABLE account. Those are two places that can help fund your child's future, and they do not count against those other benefits. So those are very important. Your current life insurance and like investment assets can go to the special needs trust when you pass away and provide funding for that special needs trust. Now, you can also have an ABLE account for your child. This is something that we can help you set up. You can put $18,000 in that ABLE account in 2024. And your child can put more in there if they're working. We can discuss that if you have questions about that. You never want your ABLE account to go above $100,000 total. But it is a really great way to be able to put aside money for your loved one where it will not count against them for SSI or other benefits. ABLE accounts are only available right now for people who have a disability that started before they were 26 years old. So if, for example, somebody is 28 and they're in a car accident that causes them to be disabled, unfortunately, they cannot have an ABLE account. This rule might change in the future, but for right now, that's what the rule is, okay? With the ABLE account, and I don't see any questions in the chat box or comments yet, so feel free to put those in there if you have any. The ABLE account. So the beneficiary is the owner of the account, and anybody can put money into the ABLE account. What they do is generally they take fees out of the ABLE account and then they invest the rest of your money that you put in there. It goes to buy mutual funds. And so that investment grows over time. And that income that you make is not taxed. So this is a tax advantaged account. And that's why there are limits on how much you can put into it. The federal government doesn't want you to have a tax advantaged account with millions in it, which I can understand. Also, you cannot claim a deduction for these contributions on your federal tax forms, unfortunately. So not for federal taxes, but some states will let you do a tax deduction for money that you put into the ABLE account. Now here in Texas, we don't have state income tax, so you cannot have a state income tax deduction here in Texas, but some states do allow that. Again, it does not impact their SSI or Medicaid or any other public benefits when you have money in the ABLE account. So the ABLE account versus the special needs trust. Let's dip our toe into that explanation real quick. The special needs trust will also preserve your benefits and does not count against them. Now, the special needs trust, you can put as much money as you want. There is no limit on how much money you can put into a, a special needs trust. This is where your life insurance should go, your investments, bank accounts, things like that, because they're so large. Whereas with the ABLE account, you can only put in $18,000 this year, and you don't want it to go above 100,000. So the special needs trust, I think of it more like that 401k retirement account. You're going to put money in the special needs trust that is not going to be touched for a long time, probably not going to need to use that until the parent is gone from this earth. And it can be any amount of money. Now, one rule about the special needs trust is that you should not use it as long as your child is receiving SSI and Medicaid. You should not use the special needs trust for housing, utilities, food, or cash. Okay, so there's limits on what you should use your trust for. There's no limit on how much you can put in there. The ABLE account, we're flashing back to that ABLE account for a second. There are limits on how much you can put in, but there is no limit on what you can use it for as long as it is for your child, as long as it can help them achieve a better living experience. That's what ABLE stands for, achieving a better living experience or life experience. So as long as it can be construed as something for your child that helps them have a better life, you can use your ABLE account to pay for that. So I see the ABLE account as more of like a save to spend account. Money is going to be flowing through the ABLE account. It's not just going to sit there for years and years and years. Okay. If guardianship is in your future, and these are on the same slide because these things require an attorney. Special needs trust and guardianship, you need to have an attorney to do. But guardianship means basically that your child is going to be a minor in the eyes of the law, and you are going to be their guardian for the rest of their life, or as long as you have this guardianship in place. They can't decide on their own to drive or vote or get married or where they want to live or have any of the rights and responsibilities of a legal adult, as long as you have them under guardianship. Now, you can start the process of guardianship when you're within 6 months of your child turning 18. And it does take a qualified attorney to do that for you. You have to go to court. You have to go in front of a judge. You have to be served papers. You need an attorney, and your child needs their own attorney. It's a big deal. Okay, I still see no questions. So this is a list of some of the transition and residential programs. I put the black here is a link. So the black link to Advanced Houston, and then I put the towns that it's in. So there's Avondale House, Brookwood in Georgia, Forever Families Day Hab, Marbridge, Reach Unlimited. These are, again, some of the programs that we know of. This is not an all-inclusive list. We don't work for them. They don't work for us, but definitely check these out. In earlier parts of the conversation, we talked a little bit about maybe your child wants to delay their driver's license. And what's the rationale behind that is the question I see in the chat. Well, sometimes right at the age of 16, your child might not be ready. Your child might not be mature enough to operate a heavy vehicle, heavy machinery. Maybe it's just not right for them. Maybe they don't feel ready. Maybe you don't feel that they're ready, and that's totally fine. As a matter of fact, my son, he is neurotypical, but he still didn't even mess with getting a driver's license until he was about 18 years old. I find that many teens these days are putting that off and waiting until a little bit later. Now also guardianship after the child turns 18. I see that question. Yes, you don't have to have guardianship on the day that they turn 18. It's okay if you wait until after. Maybe you want to test the waters a little bit and see if you actually need it. Again, an attorney will help you understand your exact options when it comes to guardianship. So Consolidated Planning Group, we do a ton of webinars based on topics that we hope will be helpful for your families. This link will take you to our website events tab, and you can click on there and look at all of the upcoming webinars we have listed. Now, if you register for these, then you will, of course, you'll get a reminder if you want to show up in person like you're here right now. If you can't make it, we will still email you the slides and the link to the webinar if you register. Okay, now be aware when you register, you're giving us your phone number and your email address. You have to give us the right email address if you want these slides. Hopefully, you will give us the right phone number as well because we're going to contact you. This link will work when you get the slides later on today. It doesn't work right now. None of these links should work right now, I don't think. But if it doesn't work, even when you get these slides later, just go to our website, consolidatedplanninggroup.com, and look under the events tab, and you'll be able to find all of our upcoming webinars. I see another question here. Let me take this question while you guys kind of read through this list of things that we cover. How much money your child gets for SSI? Oh, is how much money they get depending on their disability? No. SSI, the maximum amount that you can get per month for SSI right now is $943 a month. And that depends on, are they working? If they are working, then the amount of money they get from SSI will be reduced. So that's one big question. Are they working? And how much are they making? How much money do they have in a bank account? If they have more than $2,000 in a bank account, they will not qualify for SSI at all. And the third thing is, are they paying for their housing? Are they paying you rent, or are they paying like Marbridge or Brookwood to live there? That's another factor that helps determine how much money your child will get in SSI. If your child is not getting the full $943 a month, you should set up an appointment with us. We can talk to you and figure out why and figure out how to get the maximum, or if your child deserves to get the maximum. Okay. This is our team. I'm going to put this last slide up and then get to the rest of the questions. So bear with me for one more minute. This is our team. Again, we are based in Sugar Land. We work all across the United States, mostly in Texas still, but we get calls every day from other states, and we are happy to help, and we are able to help. We are members of the Special Needs Planning Academy. We are also National Social Security Advisors. So Allison and Jeff, and then there's myself and my husband, Andy. We are all financial advisors. We work as a collaborative team on every single file. We also offer a free consultation where you can meet with one of us advisors, and pick our brains. We give you the opportunity to meet with us on Zoom and just ask us whatever planning questions you have. We can get you answers, we can get you resources, and we really try to help you first. And then we will talk to you about our services, the doors you can walk through with our company, what it costs, all of that kind of stuff, and see if it would be a good idea for us to work together. And if not, that is fine. We've answered your questions and hopefully we've helped you out. We want everybody to sign up for their free consultation. So please either use the QR code, call our office, or email us. We do reach out to people who sign up for our webinars. If you are not interested, The quickest and easiest way to get us to stop calling is to just say, no, thank you. We are not interested. We love your webinars. We love Michelle and her energy, but we don't want to work with you right now. And we'll stop calling you, I promise. You can also follow us on our social media. These links will be clickable. So you can go to our YouTube channel, our Instagram page, our podcast, and our Facebook. Okay, so now I'm going to get back to the questions. Thank y'all so much. Such great information. I surely enjoyed your presentation style. Great hour spent for my child. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Can we get a cost estimate of the different services? Guardianship, power of attorney. Well, those two things have to be through an attorney, and attorneys charge different things. I've heard anywhere from $2,500 to $5,000 to get it all set up. But again, that's determined by which attorney, how many services you need, and all of that. As for our services, there are some things that we do for free. There are 3 planning options that we have that start at $1,250 and go up, but we won't really know how much you would be charged until we give you this free consultation and let you know what we can do at no charge and what you need and what we do in our different planning packages. So have your free consultation, get your questions answered, and then we'll give you a firm price on the things that we can do. Okay. The contact info is there in the chat box. Do we work outside of Texas? Yes, Kelly. And how effectively, since we mainly focus on Texas. So we have several clients outside of Texas. And what we do, whenever we get a new client that is in a different state, we pull all the resources for that state by Googling, by reaching out to our contacts, by reaching out to the other organizations that we work with, like the Workforce Commission for that state, the ARC of whatever state, the parent-to-parent network for that state. We have connections in all of these organizations. And so we can reach out to the ARC of Texas and say, hey guys, can you tell us about the ARC of Oklahoma and what they do there, and give us the contact info? And then we call the ARC of Oklahoma and get all the resources from them. And we put together all of this information, no matter what state you happen to be in. And we can help anybody in any state. Just because we currently live in Texas is why we currently have all Texas stuff, but we do have files going on several states. April's contact, do they get SSI after turning 18? And when will you send the PowerPoint? Okay. We will send this information to your email later today. You'll get the slides and the link to the webinar. SSI, your child is probably not going to qualify for SSI until they turn 18, because before age 18, they're looking at the parent's income and assets. And the income limit is $1,550. So if you, as a parent, are making more than $1,550 a month, you're not going to get SSI for your child. Or if you have more than like $2,000 or $3,000 in the bank, depending on whether you're married or not, you will not be able to get SSI for your child. Now, when the child turns 18, then they look at the child's income and assets. That's when you can have a lot more control over whether or not they're going to be able to get SSI. As long as they're not working or working too much, and as long as they don't have more than $2,000 in their bank account. Unfortunately, we do not have anyone on my team who speaks Spanish at this time. If you are able to get an individual who can translate for you, we're happy to speak with a translator on the call, but we don't have that in place. What if the other state doesn't have good resources in terms of special needs resources? Well, every state has something. I mean, Texas, to be honest, the wait times for our waiver programs can be 20 years right now. And in my opinion, that's not the best resource. So Texas is kind of one of the states that has lower funding for some of our resources, or takes a lot longer to get those resources. There are some states where you don't have to wait at all. So it really just depends where you are, but there's something for everybody in every state, and we can help you find those resources. So feel free to make an appointment. Yes, the PowerPoint will go out later today. I have 1 o'clock. So if there are no more questions, what I will just say to you is thank you so, so much for being here today with us. I hope that something that you've seen today has been helpful. Please go to our YouTube channel and feel free to check out any of our other webinars. What I have found is that they kind of tend to be quick paced. So if you pick up 1 or 2 bits of good information from this webinar, great. Maybe you'll pick up 2 or 3 bits of good information from the next one, and pretty soon you'll know exactly what you need to do. And we are always here for you for your questions. So please feel free to schedule your consultation. Okay, I don't see any more topics or any more questions. So thanks again, everybody. We will go ahead and end it here. Thank you, April, for hosting us and for keeping track of the chat box. I hope you all have a great day. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.